Hey guys, welcome to Slashing Up the Charts. It's another episode, it's another week, the final week of October, and, well, what do I have to say? Jackass, right? Yeah, it's going to be #1 this weekend, my prediction, of course. Yeah, you know what this means. You know what this means. Yeah, I'll wear this if there's a big comedy that's coming out that's going to win the box office draw. So, yeah, Jackass presents Bad Grandpa. I mean, this movie, okay, when the trailer came out, I think it was late July, early August, I laughed my head off at a lot of the stuff in the trailer. And I said immediately, I'm going to see that opening day. Well, it turns out I can't see it opening day. I'm going to be booked until Saturday night, so it's another case where I wait a couple of days and then I'm like, oh, okay, I'll go see it then. But yeah, I think the hype for the film, at least for its opening weekend, is for it to do pretty well. So I think we're going to see a good weekend here, almost about the same as Gravity did last weekend. But Gravity, I've got to say, it'll still get second place this weekend, but boy, this film is doing spectacular. It could get close to $200 million by the end of the weekend domestically, on top of the already, I think it's 50 million or maybe 60, 70 million it's got in other countries. So close to $300 million in 1 month for a movie like Gravity is nothing to complain about. Anyways, so I've only got 2 movies. I know last week I kind of spent like 90% of it on one movie, and then like 10% on 3 other movies. So I'm going to try to spread my time evenly this time. There's only 2 movies I'm going to talk about before I lay down my predictions and stuff. So let's get started here. Jackass presents Bad Grandpa. It looks like it's going to do really well this weekend. Johnny Knoxville is back. I think it's... I was just looking up info. I couldn't remember the character's name. Something Zisman, Harold Zisman, something like that. Irving Zisman, that's it. I knew it started like a letter that was around the letter H. I don't know why I said Harold. It's Irving, I think it's pronounced Zisman is the last name, who's like an 86-year-old grandpa who's taking his little grandson around I think it's North Carolina. I can't remember if it's North or South Carolina. It's one of the Carolinas. Anyways, and just causing all hell to break loose and all sorts of different pranks that fill up the hour-and-a-half running time. Now, as far as the other Jackass movies goes, I'm not a huge fan of the franchise, I have to say that. This isn't particularly my favorite brand of film. The first one had plenty of laughs. I love the golf course air horn joke, and I love the, when he shoplifts as the grandpa character, and stuff like that. And I like seeing the grandpa jokes in the Jackass series. But overall, the series is kind of a mixed bag for me. There's certain, like the TV show they had, which I've only seen limited material of, the movies are hit and miss. And by hit and miss, I mean there are some parts where people fall out of their seats laughing so hard. Some people pee their pants, they're laughing. So, literally, there have been reports where people want their money back because they've laughed so hard that they've pissed themselves and they have to go home to change because the people next to them are complaining about how they smell. Literally. I think I've read a couple of stories like that. And then there are other parts where, yeah, audience members get out of the theater and leave because they say that is the most grotesque thing I've ever seen in my life, and they call it comedy. And they're aiming for comedy, and it's not funny. Yeah, there's a couple of jokes like that where I'm just like, no, not for me. Not for me. I can't off the top of my head think of anything that just immediately offends me, but I just think there are some jokes that just don't work. Anyways, the same, and it's pretty much the same for the 3, but of the 3, I think the third one they did, the 3D one, was actually probably the best, but that's, I don't know, all 3 of them are kind of on the same level as far as that goes. Bad Grandpa looks like it's going to be the funniest one yet, though. Just from what I've seen in the trailers compared to how my viewing experience of the other 3. But yeah, I think this Bad Grandpa looks fantastically funny in spots. Even if I'm pretty sure there's going to be a few gags that don't work quite as well. I've seen a few clips, just like of the movie. Like there's one part where he's in a bed that folds up, and I've seen the part where the little kid his grandson is like calling this girl he sees who happens to have like a shirt that reveals a little bit of cleavage. He calls her a hooker, or not a hooker, a stripper. Whatever, almost same thing. Almost same thing. Either way, I think the movie looks like it's going to have a real blast, and I think audiences are really interested. The Jackass draw has kind of, like, the first film made a little bit of a splash. The second film was able to reach #1 its opening weekend and do really well. The third film surprised everyone and almost got to, I think it was over 50 million its opening weekend. Now, since this doesn't exactly have Jackass in the title, the main title, it's just Bad Grandpa. I think a lot of commercials, TV spots are just calling it Bad Grandpa. It's going to suffer for that, and also I think just because it's Halloween weekend, or it's almost the weekend of Halloween. Even if Halloween's in the middle of the week this year, it doesn't mean that that Halloween is going to be a necessary time for a comedy like this. But I don't know. I think audiences will still turn out for it. I don't know if it's going to reach the heights of Jackass 3 or maybe even Jackass 2, but I think it's certainly going to get a good crowd reaction. I think my prediction is going to be about 27.9 million, just short of like 28, but it could go slightly higher than that. I'm gonna leave it some space. I'll say that as a safe prediction, 27.9, but it could go higher, especially if like the midnight shows tonight do really well, if tomorrow's early showings do really well, and if the word spreads that it's really funny and it's not just, oh, the 4 best gags of the whole movie were just in that first trailer. As long as it's not that, and that's not the word, this film has good chances of getting closer to 30 million or over 30 million. But yeah, there's been also a lot of talk of this starting a franchise. I'll quickly mention that and then I'll move on to The Counselor. But as far as I'm concerned, I think the Angry Grandpa, that's something different. I think the Bad Grandpa character would work in a franchise, but I think what they could do to mix it up and to bring back some people in, because let's be honest, if Johnny Knoxville were the only person in the Jackass movies and the rest were random guys that they just brought in different guys every movie, they wouldn't be nearly as popular. It's the Steve-O's, it's the Preston Lacey's, it's everybody. It's the Wee Mans that in the supporting cast that really, even if Ryan Dunn isn't there anymore, which is too bad, it really is, because I mean nobody should really, I won't really say too much about that, but it's too bad we don't have him there as well. They bring in a lot of people too. I wouldn't be surprised if the movie actually does worse than even the first Jackass movie when that opened, because that I think got like 20 million or something its opening weekend. But I wouldn't be surprised if without some of those, all those supporting characters actually, unless there's a really nice cameo, which I would love to see, by the way. I wouldn't be surprised if Bad Grandpa doesn't do all that well just on its own. But I think the chances of that are, you'll see pigs fly before I think this film gets like a 10 or 15 million opening weekend. But I think if they want to stretch its legs and make a sequel and start this franchise off, then I think they need to do little things like they'll have, okay, there's a gag of, of Bad Grandpa. And then even better, the next gag has Bad Grandma, and it's like it's Steve-O dressed up in drag. I think that would bring in some people, and especially if they put it in the trailers, that would bring in people, and I think it would be very funny. You just have to give Steve-O the right lines and the right thing for Bad Grandma to say, and boom, you've got a sequel already that's going to draw in people, just for that aspect alone, let alone if the other gags work. But yeah, I have to say though, I'm going to go see this one, and hopefully I can get my review. As far as the Rush review goes, wow, I don't have time to do that for a little while, so maybe by next week we'll have a Rush review up, but I'm working on it. Anyways, the other film opening this weekend is The Counselor, and I have to say, the trailer for the movie, because I heard all sorts of expectations. A lot of people thought this was going to be an Oscar movie. This was going to be a big, because I thought literally from the title, The Counselor, I said, oh, this looks like a family drama kind of. in the way of like it's just going to be a big drama. And you have two different couples, Javier Bardem and Penelope Cruz, and Brad Pitt and Cameron Diaz, and they're both seeing this counselor, Michael Fassbender, who is excellent, by the way, as an actor, and I really want to see him in the. I've heard all sorts of nothing but praise stuff for him in 12 Years a Slave, so I definitely want to check him out in that. And then he gets like sexually attracted to both wives, and it could be a drama in that way. And I think that would be way more interesting than what I've seen for the trailers so far for this movie. And I gotta tell you, my interest in this movie has declined rapidly since I heard of the title. Because the title, I thought, oh man, I would see that in a heartbeat. These 5 tremendously gifted actors and actresses in roles like that. Oh, I would love to see that, but it's not going to happen. That's not the movie. So, just moving on from that, when I saw the first trailer, I thought, this is kind of off. And I thought, well, maybe it's just, like tigers and stuff. I thought, well, maybe when we see another trailer, and then I just never got around to seeing another trailer. I saw the first trailer like once or twice. I said, I don't know about this one. The reviews are not that great, and I think Ridley Scott as a director is a great man. He's got a great talent. And I haven't seen Prometheus yet, but a lot of people are saying that his direction was actually really good in that, even if the story wasn't the best. But I gotta tell you, I don't think he should be doing stuff like this. He's got I think it's Exodus he's working on next, with, I think it's Christian Bale and Sigourney Weaver. I'm way more interested in that, I can tell you that right now. This movie, I don't know. I don't know if, I think the hype around it, because a lot of people I think are still expecting this to be a tremendous film. I don't think they're going to get any approval for it. I think they're going to come away really disappointed with this. It really does look like a film that's way too far out to left field to really be in my viewing experience. And even then, there's a lot of people that wouldn't really suit to my viewing experience. They're more off with the Transformers and stuff, and call Transformers and The Lone Ranger the best movies of the year. I'm not one of those people. But anyways, I still think that this film will get an audience. I just don't think it'll be all that big. I'm thinking tops of 13 to 14 million on this one. But realistically, my prediction is going to be lower than that to 12.1. 12.1 million. I don't think this film is going to make all that big of a splash. And it could, well, theoretically, it could battle for third place, but I think it's going to get it. But anyways, yeah, that's all I got to say about that, is both films are going to be in about 3,000 or so theaters, maybe more like 3,150 for The Counselor and 3,200 for Bad Grandpa, but I think overall the box office looks like it's going to have some stronger points, at least in its top 4 or 5 for the weekend. So I'll come right back and I'll give a top 10, and then I'm also going to briefly mention something else before we end the show here. Okay, so let's talk about the top 10. Number 1, again, I'm thinking, in case you weren't paying attention earlier, Bad Grandpa, I think, is going to win the weekend. Again, my prediction was 27.9 million. I think it could go higher, though. It could go higher if the early buzz is good. Gravity, I think, will definitely fall to second place this weekend, but it won't fall too terribly far. It was like 30 million last weekend, 44 million the previous one before that, and 56 million its opening. So this is a spectacular hold for a movie like this. Usually movies fall 50% or lower, and that's considered great. To fall 20% is spectacular. And to fall, like Argo did last year, that fell only like 10% or 19-20% its first weekend as well, or second weekend as well. Yeah, these are the movies that, audiences come back for. Or, the audience expands and the word of mouth just lives throughout a lot of theaters. So in this case, Gravity second place, probably just north of 20 million. Maybe a little bit higher, but I don't think enough to really compete for first place. If it does, if Bad Grandpa doesn't do well, look for Gravity to come back and win a fourth weekend, which is really rare, especially these days. I can't remember the last movie to do it besides Avatar. I think was it was something, I can't remember. Hunger Games. Yeah, that was the last movie to do it, and that barely did it. So I think in this case 3 is going to be the magic number here. It completed the hat trick. I don't think it's going to go for the bonus point here, but either way, spectacular for Gravity. It's going to keep going through November and probably come up close to 300, or not 300. I don't think it'll quite get that high, but at least 250 million for its total domestic gross. Number 3, The Counselor. I think the hype around the movie is enough to keep it north of 10 million, despite the fact that the critics are pretty much killing it, and just the unreliability, I guess, of Ridley Scott's later career. Because I think after Gladiator, he's just kind of gradually done mediocre to okay work. So here, this looks like no exception. It looks a little off, in my opinion. So either way, if you want to see the movie, go see the movie, definitely. It helps the box office, just helps the overall flow of movies. So yeah, I think it'll get, my prediction again was 12.1 million. I think it'll do okay. It won't do fantastic, and I don't think it's going to do runner bad. Definitely not. There's really big stars that people like in this movie. So that aside, let's move on. Number 4, Captain Phillips. Surprise last week, Captain Phillips was Phillips. I almost said Felix. I think I did say Felix. Phillips held the second spot last weekend over Carrie, and yeah, congratulations on that. And I still desperately want to see that movie. Tom Hanks, yeah, he definitely looks like he's delivering his best performance in many, many moons for this one. So yes, Captain Phillips, still got to see it, want to see it, hopefully we'll see it sometime in November. Because it's still not coming to my local theater, and I don't know why. There was a real surprise. I did look up, they actually got in what the movies are going to be, so I'm going to talk about that a little bit in a second here. Number 5, I almost said 6, we're at number 5, Carrie. I think Carrie's opening box office was a little bit underwhelming. No, it was underwhelming. Just in general, underwhelming last weekend. Which is a shame. It's not as, some people said, oh, it looks like it's exactly like the De Palma version. Yeah, it's at times very, very close, but I think it should have gotten at least a good 20 million instead of, I think it was 16 or 17 million, something like that. It should have been higher. I think, and the expectations, I think, were a little bit higher than maybe they should have. I didn't think it was going to be as good as the De Palma version or anywhere near that ballpark. I was hoping it would be good, but I wasn't really expecting it to be more than a 6 out of 10. I was a little surprised. It was a 7. I did give it a 7 out of 10 if you haven't seen the review yet. But yeah, Carrie will land number 5. I don't know how well it's going to do in its second weekend. It might totally plummet, but since Halloween comes on a weird time this year, and since there's no other horror movies out there except Insidious Chapter 2, which is really starting to decline in its theater count and its grosses, but it did have a really well done domestic gross. I think it's close to 85 million now, so good work, Insidious. I think Carrie will hold a little bit better than most. I think it'll hold better than Insidious, but I don't really expect it to really battle for 4th. I think it's going to be a much closer battle for, no, I don't think it's even going to be a battle. 5th place. 6, Cloudy Chance of Meatballs 2. It's doing really well so far for an animated movie in late September. Even though last year Hotel Transylvania did spectacular. I think Cloudy Chance of Meatballs 2 is definitely going to finish north of 110 million. But right now it's sitting at about 95, I think, something close in that ballpark, and we'll see how it goes from there. Number 7. This is kind of where we're starting to get to the nitty-gritty stuff. The stuff that probably doesn't matter as much, and it's not the it's not the top attention. Oh boy, we're starting to get way down there. From 7 to 10 on, the slots could really easily interchange. I think we're going to see Prisoners in there somewhere, more likely toward number 8. Enough Said could reach number 7 this weekend if it continues to do really good business in its limited release. Fifth Estate is going to fall somewhere in there. Also vying for a spot are Rush and Insidious Chapter 2. Any one of those 5 films could land anywhere in the 7 to 10 spot. But I think how it's going to go down is 7's going to go to Prisoners. 8 is going to go to Enough Said. 9's going to go to, I think 9, oh boy. In all honesty, it's a huge, huge question mark here. I think 9 is going to have to go to Fifth Estate, and in the 10th spot, I think we're going to find, oh boy, I don't know. Could Rush hold on in the top 10 for one more week? I'm not sure. If not, then it could go to Runner Runner. I don't think, did I mention that? No, I didn't. It could also go to, did I? Yeah, I already said Enough Said. So, yeah, like I said, any one of those 5 or 6 movies could just swing, swing either way, land up here, land down here. It's really tough to predict it. But I think at least through the top 7, that's more accurate. The most accurate I can be, 7 Prisoners, and from there on, it's a cluster. It's really going to be a cluster through the rest of the top 10. Okay, so that's that. Moving on, there's one other topic I did want to talk about in addition to what's playing my local theater. So this week or weekend or whatever, whenever you're watching this, whether it's fresh after upload or later on, like a few months down the road, Jackass Presents Bad Grandpa, I will definitely go see it on Saturday, and I'll get a review up, and we'll see how it holds up to the Jackass trilogy. And also playing, really surprised at this, my local theater got Don Jon in. So I'm going to maybe go see that, because I definitely thought, like I said, when the first weekend it opened up, I said, I really want to see this movie, but it's not playing in my local theater, and I wish it was. So now here we go, a month later. They did the same thing with like The Social Network. It played a whole month later, but unfortunately nobody saw it. So I think this film, unfortunately, I don't know if anybody in my, around my local theater is going to go see it or not, but I'm hoping I can be there. Depending on how Saturday goes, I might just be extreme. Like, I remember a few weeks ago I was going to go see Prisoners and the Butler back to back, but I saw the Butler first, and I was wiped out. I just couldn't. I said, if I have to sit through another 2.5-hour movie, I'm going to fall asleep by the hour-and-a-half point. I said, I can't do it. So I'm just because I'm getting older, I think, is the excuse for it. But in this case, Bad Grandpa's only an hour-and-a-half. Don Jon's only an hour-and-a-half. I might be able to do it. But either way, hopefully we're going to see a review of Don Jon. If not, expect a review of Bad Grandpa. One other thing, this morning Gotham Awards were announced. I don't usually pay much attention to the smaller independent stuff. I'm more into the Golden Globes and Oscars, and when those come around, when the nominations are announced for both of those, I'll probably do a separate video, not just stick it at the end of a weekly show. But in this case, like 12 Years a Slave is up there for the best movie or feature film, I think, in this case. But one thing that did stand out, I was ecstatic about this, and I was expecting it, but I wasn't really sure. Spectacular Now did get at least one nomination, and it's the nomination it deserves for Best Actress, Shailene Woodley. This, like I said, if you are an Oscar voter right now and you're listening to my voice, this is a performance you need to not only consider, you need to award this performance. This is a performance that the Oscars overlook. Year after year after freaking year, they look over stuff like this. Performances like this that could easily be played by anybody and come off as an average performance. This is an excellent performance. I'm so glad it got the attention, at least of the Gotham Awards. And I don't know, also up for consideration in at least that category was Cate Blanchett, who's right now the front runner for Best Actress for the Oscars. So I haven't seen that one. I'm sure it's a great performance. Blanchett is a tremendous actress, one of the best talents working today. So yeah, don't know if she's going to win over Blanchett, but either way, I'm definitely glad that Woodley's on the list. So she's one step closer now to starting to tone in on the Best Actress category. But right now, it looks like the 5 they're going to go with and the 5 that are going to be really hard to beat, and it's going to be a tight space. Looks like Bullock right now has got a good chance of getting nominated. Blanchett is going to be nominated, I think. Meryl Streep in August, Osage County definitely looks like a nice chance of getting nominated. Judi Dench in this movie called Philomena from England really looks like a nice performance there. I've only seen a couple images, but again, like Spectacular Now, just in that one image, I'm like, okay, when this comes around, I gotta find my chance to see this movie. And then, there's one more. Emma Thompson. Looks like she's going to land a nomination for Saving Mr. Banks. But then again, we haven't seen that one yet. The first reviews actually for that movie just came in, and because it just premiered somewhere. I don't think it was here in the United States. I think it was in the UK. And so far the reviews are good, but they're not really what the Oscar big contenders usually get for their first reviews. Either way, they're both. Either way, the reviews for Saving Mr. Banks so far are good. They're not spectacular. They're solid, and either way, that's good work. Either way, it definitely looks like. I'm not going to talk too much about Oscars now, but the only thing I'm going to mention is Wolf of Wall Street has made it back into the list in the big contenders. It's going to come out by Christmas, and Monuments Men has been pushed back to February of next year, so that's out of the race completely, which opens it up for movies like Rush and Prisoners and August, Osage County, even the Spectacular Now, to move up in their chances for getting in the nominated films for Best Picture. So even with Wolf of Wall Street back in, that still leaves that slot open. That could be anybody. Because right now I think the big ones that are going to be up for Oscar contention are American Hustle. We're going to see Gravity in there, I think, definitely. 12 Years a Slave is getting a lot of attention, and that's going to be in the list somewhere. Saving Mr. Banks looks really strong. Lee Daniels the Butler is going to have some crowds there. I think chances are good for also Captain Phillips. Let's see. I think there's a couple more off the top of my head that I can think of. Inside Llewyn Davis from the Coen Brothers looks like that's going to get some awards attention. I know there's at least one more. Blue Jasmine from Woody Allen, and again with Cate Blanchett, looks like a good chance right now. And I know there's one more besides Wolf of Wall Street that's really close. I think it is August, Osage County, but yeah, right now it looks like those are the 9/10 that they're looking at, and that are right now looking to be the big Oscar contenders. That could change come a month from now, come 2 months from now, right before awards or nominations are announced. But until then, again, my predictions this weekend to totally come back from this distracted point. Bad Grandpa, 27.9 million, and first place, and Counselor, third place with 12.1 million. And otherwise, until next time, adieu.